Sanders?
I feel that that's a really important opportunity to be able to discuss prior to making motions to appoint our president, vice president, and secretary. And I feel that it is a important process to be able to amplify the vice president's opportunity to be a part of the agenda setting and changing the rules and resolution to reflect that.
Yes, I would agree that defining what the rules are before we vote on them is going to serve us best.
Commissioner Isle?
Yeah, this is I guess I don't have an issue with it. I guess I'm just kind of surprised by it. That's all. Not the conversation, but moving it. The importance of moving it ahead of the committee assignments and election of officers.
Okay, and my only comments would be that if you feel like, if the majority of the commission feels that it's necessary to have a discussion prior to the elections, then I would defer to that. So. Is there any further discussion? It's been moved and seconded to move item number 3 on the action other calendar commission rules resolution to item number 1. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Are there any additional amendments to the agenda? Is there a motion to approve the amended agenda? Is there a second? Any further discussion? It's been moved and seconded to approve the amended agenda. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have an agenda. And we will move on to our Executive Director, Rudolph Short.
No report this evening, Commissioner.
Thank you, Executive Director. We are moving on to public comment. As a reminder, individual public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Members of the public may comment on agenda items and other port business. Guidelines for public comment can be found in the Commission Rules and Resolution 2022-09, Article 6. Comments should be directed to the Commission as a whole and should not include comments about individual port staff or members of the public. Speakers, please be courteous in language and demeanor and confine remarks to those facts that are germane and relevant to the question or issue under discussion. I have Carla Wolfsberg. Thank you for joining us, Ms. Wolfsberg.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Carla Wolfsberg. I've been told to speak right into the mic. So are you hearing me? Good. All right. So, and I live in Tumwater. I hope you all received an email yesterday. It was from me and a number of community members, and it was with a request to delay 1 month your vote to authorize the signing of the 3rd Amendment of the interlocal agreement with the City of Tumwater for the Habitat Conservation Plan. And the reason we ask this is we know that as conscientious elected officials, you and the new executive director will want the opportunity to understand more thoroughly what's involved in the HCP process before approving this extension. And the HCP includes long-term implications that will affect the environment, as we know, and specifically the federally listed species that live in the Bush Prairie area of Tumwater, which includes the Olympia Airport. So we ask that you delayed your vote until the end of February for these reasons. First, that the new executive director, who will be closely associated with this complex issue as it moves forward, has the ability to be on board and actually to sign this 3rd agreement or amendment, sorry. And this would just be an opportunity for the port's representative to be better informed during the process of developing and implementing the HCP. So also, we'd like to say that our reason for asking you to delay the signing just to the end of February would allow you, all of you as commissioners, the opportunity to hear regional wildlife experts explain why the port habitat is so important, which listed species are involved, and maybe you've heard this from your environmental program director already and others, but at any rate, a wildlife expert would be able to tell you the history of the species on the property and a lot more valuable information so that you, as commissioners, will be briefed on and understand options for the HCP. And since most of the wildlife experts are in the field starting in March to do their research, sometime during the month of February would be a really great time to invite them to come and speak to you. So I just wanted to thank you for considering this request to postpone it for just 1 month and to have a wildlife expert come and speak to you about a regional wildlife expert come and speak to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wolfsburg. We appreciate your comments and sending us emails with good information. On Zoom,
Yes, we have Lee Reiner.
hello, Lee Reiner. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you having the public comment tonight regarding some very difficult issues, difficult insofar is that these issues are scientific issues. And some of us in the room have spent our entire life dealing with scientific issues. And some of us are in business and other parts of industry, and we don't have that insight that we need to really discuss these issues. And so that's why I agree with the last speaker insofar as that we need some time to look at these habitat conservation plans and really fully understand what habitat conservation plans do and where we're going with this. As you know, the Thurston County has initiated habitat conservation plans, as other municipalities, and some of them have been working, and some of us, we feel, some of these habitat conservation plans have not been working. So I really think it's important when we look at this interlocal agreement between the Port of Olympia and the City of Tumwater to work on this habitat conservation plan, that we delay this vote on the interlocal agreement because of these reasons that we just went into. You know, a lot of people say, oh, we can't drag our feet. We got to work now. We got to do it now. We got to get it done. You know, a lot of times, if you look at court decisions, that what has led us down roads that we are now facing that don't look very promising. We need to take our time. We need to fully understand these processes, these scientific processes. And so that's why I'm asking also for a delay and to actually have conservation plan training for the general public and the port, so that we can ask some of these difficult questions about habitat conservation plans. I mean, we're talking about not only gophers, but we're talking about frogs, and we're talking about some birds. And we can see these populations out here in Thurston County, and a lot of them are not doing very well. In fact, some of them are doing very poorly. So why are they doing poorly? Because maybe some of the conservation plans have problems, and maybe we should address those problems before we go headlong into another interlocal agreement with the City of Tumwater regarding these habitat conservation plans. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Reiner. We appreciate you being here. Any additional comment on Zoom?
Joe Downey.
Hello, former Commissioner Downing. Nice to hear from you.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm getting set here. Well, thank you, commissioners, for having me, giving me a few minutes tonight. It's great to see you all. I'd like to come and give public comment on topics that other folks may not touch upon, and actually, truthfully, whatever occurs to me after I look at the agenda. So you've got a great agenda tonight, a lot of important considerations. But in any case, as I was thinking about executive sessions, and I was especially focused on, I think, item 4, the compensation for the interim executive director. I don't have a comment on that, but it got me thinking. Got me thinking of the many senior level employees who have left Port Service. And for the new commissioners, I just like to point out, I did a quick count in my head. 7 employees left, and they left with what I call walking away money. So in other words, we have this giant insurance company that insures the port, and we pay quite a bit of money to them. And they, along with the port, decide to give disgruntled employees walking away money. And I won't name numbers and I won't name names, but 7 that I can think of over the years, and 4 actually left for better jobs and just said, we're all done with the port, we've got a better job, and that's great. But there was one employee who was discharged who I strongly felt should not have been. And there was not a mechanism at the time to say to the executive director, it's probably not a good idea to discharge this employee. So in thinking about that, and as you interview executive directors, I hope you can keep this in your mind. I'd ask you to keep this in your mind, that now that we have 5 commissioners and you may be discussing role for the chair and the vice chair, the chair and the vice chair constitute a subcommittee of the Port Commission, let's say. And so in that way, we could talk to either make it clear in a resolution or verbally that when an executive director becomes dissatisfied with one of their employees' senior level employee performance, that they come to this subcommittee of the chair and the vice chair for sign off. So that's my big idea. I just think that, given how much we pay in this walking away money, and, it's just, and sure, it infringes a tiny bit on the freedom of the executive director, but things can happen real quickly, like the COVID type event was a great upheaval. We may have economic upheaval ahead. We may have a local catastrophe. So for those reasons, I like the idea of a subcommittee to work with the executive director when there's an employee that perhaps needs discharging. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Downey. And I apologize. I thought that the buzzer was gonna go off and I let that go over time, and that is my fault. So that's a new system that we have. So thank you for joining us. Any other public comment? Oh, thank you for joining us, John Cezanne.
Hi, Commissioners. I'm John Susanna, and I live in Thurston County. I'd like to also encourage the commissioners to delay their vote on the ILA extension for the HCP until after the new executive director is in place, and to be able to access more information about the HCP from reliable sources. Protection of our diminishing natural habitat and our environmental resources should be a paramount concern to the Commission in the current circumstances where we're seeing so much environmental degradation and loss of habitat to sustain endangered species. You have a lot on your plate now, and the HCP is an extremely important matter that requires your due diligence to make an informed decision. So take the time necessary to do this with care and delay this vote. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Mr. Cezanne. It looks like maybe we had another hand, Missy.
We do have another hand. Is there someone in the audience you want to do first, or?
No, is it Janine Lindsay?
It is Janine.
Great, thanks for joining us, Janine.
Hey, thanks. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah, I joined a little bit late here, so I didn't hear most of those. I came in on Joe's testimony. But I wanted to 100% support what John Cezanne just said about the HCP and delaying that. I have concerns about the HCP now that we have that power, that sometimes the HCP can be used to actually mitigate in ways that are hazardous to the endangered species or the threatened species, and that it in fact does not help the population of these very threatened animals that live amongst us, but that in many ways we sometimes let that bytake become a burden to the population of animals. And when I went to the county website and I noticed the way that the county had presented this new possibility of HCP, in the way that they invited those that had not been able to apply for permits for development in the past because of, say, the Mazama pocket gopher, when I saw the way that the invite looked as though, hey, you might not have been able to do this before, but you're able to probably do this now, and we're going to help you go through that permit process. It was really disturbing and quite of a concern to me. So I would ask that we become really clear about what HCP is and about what our interlocal agreements with the jurisdictions will look like, and that we have really strong standards for what we're willing to do there. HCP could be kind of a new nightmare in effect. I hope that's not true, but I think it's something y'all need to be thinking about. So thanks for hearing the comments.
Thank you, Miss Lindsay. Is there anyone else on Zoom? Anyone else in the audience? Oh, please, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. My name is Dave Watterson. I'm the newly elected mayor, 22 days now of the city of Tenino. And I just wanted to come and introduce myself and say how much I appreciate the past support. I've spent quite a few years on the city council and on the planning commission, and I know the port's really done a lot to support our community and our ag park. So I appreciate that. I'm a strong believer in partnerships. I think we can all, even little town city of Tenino, can do together or with others what they can't do alone. So I know you've given a lot of support to us. I want to offer my personal help if there's ever anything that I can do for you or our city can do for you, because partnerships should be two-way things. And so I don't know what that would be, but keep us in mind when you need us to come and talk for you or present anything or whatever we can do to help you also. I know you've invested some in our ag park. Just to let you know, I think we're planning on opening our first building around August. It got delayed a little bit. We had a bid that we only got one bid and it was very high. So we rebid the interior work on that building. So it's delayed that work a little bit, but fingers crossed, we're going to get that thing. The first building open soon. And then the second building will be opening shortly after that. So great things are still going on in Tenino. My interest is renewable energy and electrification of transportation. And I think there's a lot of talk of that and with the port and the county. So let's get together and see what we can do to help each other and move some of those ideas forward. So thank you. I do have a card. If anybody would like one, I could put my number on it.
Yeah.
Come to a meeting or.
Thanks, Mayor.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And we appreciate your partnership and you being here. So thank you. Anybody else in the audience? Okay. We will close our public comment and we will move on to our consent calendar. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second, is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Sanders made the motion. Any discussion? Anyone else? Okay. Any other discussion? It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar. Oh, yeah.
Vice President, is there another opportunity to discuss, or because it's a consent calendar?
If you wanted to further discuss that item, it would have to be removed from the consent calendar and added to another place on the agenda.
I see, but right now I could just make a comment.
You could make a comment now. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Go ahead,
Um,
Commissioner Pasavada.
Well, thank you. I am supportive of us treating this as an item on the consent calendar because I see it as fulfilling our commitments to the city of Tumwater as a partner in how we pursue coming up with our strategy for protecting these endangered species that does indeed include incidental take permits. So I see this as a governance document, and from what I can see, our shared agreement on how we work together expired on December 31st. And what this does is actually just extend the agreement of how we and the city work together. Thank you.
Thank you. Another discussion.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Vasavada. That was the line of thinking that I was thinking as well. You know, we're tied to grant funding and joint agreements with these grants and the grant money and our obligation within the interlocal agreement from 2016, so that this would be extending, you know, the work that's already been ongoing. And so those are the only comments that or discussion that I had, is that it is extending.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have, I learned in parliamentary procedure class that if you don't have any items, you don't read it. So we will move on to action other. And see, I was listening. We'll move on to action other, and our new item 1 is commission rules Resolution 2023-08, Rudy Rudolph, interim executive director. And as mentioned, we will be taking public comment prior to voting after each action other item. And my fellow commissioners will help me if I forget to do that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Waiting for Missy to bring that up.
It's circled in red on my agenda.
If you could make that a little bit larger, if you can blow it up, a little bit, please. All right, so Commissioner Sabata contacted me about the idea or the opportunity to propose this to the Port Commission. At the time, I determined that there wasn't sufficient time to do what we would normally do with a resolution, which is send it out to all 5 commissioners and receive comment. So I chose the alternate approach that you see in front of you, which was to incorporate Commissioner Vasavada's proposed language, which essentially adds the vice president to those sections to work with the executive director in preparation for agendas. So the idea is that the commission, if they chose to vote on this and approve it, would adopt the changes tonight to the document, at which point then also direct me to bring the smooth copy back for signature at the next commission meeting. So to be clear, that would mean it would be actually adopted tonight and then the signatures would occur at a later date. That completes my proposed report. I'd be glad to turn it over to the commission for discussion.
Okay. So I'm using my speaking chart. Commissioner Tong, do you have any questions or comments?
As far as the resolution, I agree that I think the vice chair should have, or vice president should have the ability to meet for agenda setting meetings, especially as a 5-member commission. That's going to give a better representation of the commission as a whole.
Commissioner Sabata.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I worked with interim executive director Rudolph to bring this to the commission's attention. I have line amendments that are in the public packet. Because we've moved it up, you have to kind of dig a little further into the public documents to find them. But there's a cover memo by the interim director, and then there's just a series of 7 specific line amendments. And what my intention, what I'd like to do with this is bring a motion today to amend our rules resolution to incorporate these line amendments that change the vice chair's roles. And urge you all to support that motion when it comes. And just to be clear, if I have 30 seconds left, I think that there's really strength to having a chair for the commission who's had some experience with the commission. And at the same time, I think there's a real importance, given how fresh all of us really are, to be building sort of more stability within the commission by having a vice chair that's actively engaged right now in agenda setting and ready to kind of move forward.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ayel.
I prefer to hold my comment until a motion is made.
Okay. You could make a motion if you would like.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to make a motion that the commission adopt the amendments put forth in this cover memo. And I'm going to take a minute to read them so we know exactly what we're adopting. I have for reference a public document that's available to anyone, which is the resolution that's being adopted. I know that this has not been made available to commissioners at their tables. And so if anyone wants to look at this, that's resolution 2023-08, which is available to the public on our website, which has all our public resolutions. It's here in hard copy. I pulled it out of my orientation binder, which by the way is in the back of the book. So my motion is to incorporate the following amendments into the rules resolution 2308. Amend Article 3 to add the vice president at line 5, subsection A, Article 3, meet with the vice president and the executive director to prepare and review agendas. Article 3, subsection B, add the vice president shall meet with the president and the executive director to prepare and review agendas. Article 4C, page 3, which covers purpose of work sessions, add to line 6. Scheduling of topics for particular work sessions will be agreed upon by the president. And the new language is the vice president and the executive director. And add the vice president in another part of that article that says the president and vice president will set the agenda. The The final amendment is to Article 5, the president and vice president of the commission and the executive director will determine the placement of items. So my motion is that we adopt these changes and approve a revised resolution 2024. Is this 101? Is this our first? I don't know. We can be advised about that. And I hope you'll support that motion.
Okay, I'm going to try and restate it and ensure that I'm capturing your intent. So it has been moved to adopt amendments to resolution 2023-08 as listed in the government memo, which is provided to the public to view and is also provided on each of our screens, incorporating the following those items into the rules resolution. To adopt
2024-02.
To create, so is it an amendment to 2023-08 or is it a new?
Incorporate these and it will be assigned a new resolution in 2020.
Okay, so the amendments will be assigned a new resolution number 2024-02.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay, is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to adopt amendments to 2023-08 as listed in this government memo to incorporate the following into the rules resolution and create new resolution 2024-02. I would now like to take public comment. Woohoo! For those who haven't been following our meetings, I forget that literally every time. So, is there any public comment on this item? Is there any public comment on Zoom? There's no raised hands. Great. So now I will go back to Commissioner Ayala to, or I'm sorry, you made the motion. I will go back to Commissioner Basavada because you made the motion for discussion.
Thank you. I'm sorry if anyone up here was surprised by the request to change the order of the agenda items. For me, it's very important. We heard in a previous meeting, a previous commissioner supporting a specific member to be the new president of the commission, and members of the public who were hoping that I would put myself forward to be president. I'm very committed to helping set the agenda and strategic direction of the board, but I would like to be able to support Commissioner Harding or Commissioner Isle to serve as president this year. For me, it's really essential to make sure, though, that then I would have the opportunity to influence the agenda. That's the reason for the order. That's the reason this resolution is very important to me to pass today. It helps us get to hopefully a full shareholder.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think we can continue on if that's okay. Essentially, we already started, so we're completing the circle.
Am I next
and
then?
we will have room for more discussion. Yes.
Okay. All right. I think that if the commission feels the need to have to elevate the role of the vice president, I don't see an issue with that. I just want to point out that the role of the president in setting the agenda, working with the executive director, is to be the voice of the whole commission. It's not the president's. It's not the president's agenda that's coming forward. It's the commission's agenda. So it's very important. And one thing I've learned in the 2 years I've been here is that it's not a good idea to surprise anybody with any new agenda items or anything like that. I think Commissioner Harding did a great job in her time as president, utilizing the agenda setting meetings. And I understand that we want to try to maybe lessen that burden on the staff. So we're trying to eliminate the agenda setting meetings. I think we still have an opportunity for all commissioners to communicate their desire or their desires to see what items are on the agenda through our regular agenda, which has the other agenda items on the agenda every month or every week, every meeting. Other business that can always, agenda items can always be brought up at that time. There can also be, now that we have 5 commissioners, we can each have talk to each other. We can have a phone call prior to the meeting between the president and the executive director. So we can accomplish all of that. The way that the rules agenda, the way that the rules resolution reads now. Again, if it's important to the commission that we elevate the involvement of the vice president, you know, we serve at the pleasure of the commission, and so we'll accept that. I just wanted to make that comment.
And I agree about continuing to use other business as the place where the commission can speak with one voice as to adding agenda items. And I'm comfortable with the vice chair and the chair jointly representing those interests to ensure that there's continuity. I think you used another word, Commissioner Savada, but that we're building a strong foundation there. I think that makes sense. So Commissioner Sanders, did you have any other comments or any comments?
Yes, I feel that it's, as a newly elected 5-person commission, I feel that, you know, having the ability to have the vice president be able to be a part of the agenda setting process, I feel like you could utilize it in other business. But then with the vice president's ability to work with the executive director and the president, it provides more ample opportunity and voice and time frame working together in a cohesive, like you said, balanced way, representative of the full commission. And so I support that, but also, you know, when you add it to other business, it just adds another line item to our meetings. And there's some discussion, but it would limit the vice president to be able to be fully engaged with the president and be a part of the process. And so those are my comments. And I feel that, you know, amplifying the vice president would be critical to, you know, continuity and working together as a team. And they do provide the backup to the president, which is critical if the president were to ever have to step aside, then the vice president has the abilities and skills and already the networking and working with the executive director to move initiatives forward and setting the agenda. Sorry, that was a lot.
No, that was good. There's no time limit for commissioners. So it has been moved and seconded. Commissioner Tong started, so, and I'll ask for further discussion, but I'm trying to stick to it. Okay, no further comment. It has been moved and seconded to adopt amendment to resolution 2023-08 to incorporate the items listed in the cover memo into the rules resolution to create a new resolution 2024-02. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we are moving on to 2024 Commissioner Committee Assignments. Camille St. Ange, Director of Strategic Initiatives and Commission Affairs. And I will also be taking public comment prior to a vote on this.
Good evening, Commissioners. Camille St. Ange, Director of Strategic Initiatives and Commission Affairs. Want to make sure this is going to work for us. So, just a moment. Can I hear a little, does anybody else hear a little chirping?
Yeah, it sounds like a chirp or like a video game.
Yeah, I found, a little chirp there.
Can you hear it? Is it back there?
So we should be looking at the committee assignments. So you've got pull the other presentation up if you would, please. I think I can open up though, the same opening slide. So I'm coming to you with an action other topic this evening, and it is for the commission to select their community assignments. Part of this presentation and how you're working together as a body is to align your assignments for the next calendar year. And in consideration of that, we've taken a draft proposal. And this proposal aligns commissioners with interests that they may have expertise in. It also aligns commissioners with, I don't have my notes in front of me. Give me a second here. I'm trying to go off of memory. It also brings some continuity in the assignment. So there may be some positions that you will sit in as in a community committee, and you'll sit in that term multiple years. Also, it aligns with districts. So for example, if you're in South County and there's a South County Chamber of Commerce, it may be, it makes sense to have you fill that committee assignment. So you have in front of you, and it was also in the packet, and you can see on screen for the room, there is an outline of committee, and there is some draft commissioner assignments in addition to who served in those assignments in the past. So I'll turn this over to you, Chair Harding, for you to have discussion, comments, questions around this proposal.
I had a question around, will the staff notify the organization, connect the dots between the organization and the commissioner once this is?
Yes, once you've made a decision, we'll reach out to the organizations, give them your email. We'll copy you on that email so you know that you can see the message go out, and then staff at the other organization can reach out to you.
Okay, great. So let's start with Commissioner Vasavada. Did you have any questions or comments about this?
I want to thank staff for preparing this and helping us see what the assignments were and what the recommendation is. And for consulting us as you have.
Welcome.
I am very happy to be able to represent the commission in these locations. And I just want to acknowledge and thank especially Commissioner Tong, who is issues and is a big supporter of addressing the Deschutes estuary for considering continuity for the sea level rise, Capitol Lake Deschutes work, and want to make it clear that our role is to be there and be a conduit back to the commission and to our partners here. And hopefully we can share in public comment kind of what we're experiencing and be able to bring external business in and port business out in a way that builds trust in it. Thank you. Sorry to talk to you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Ryle?
Well, I think I need to apologize to Camille and Rudy, because I think my message to you about the Thurston County Chamber was not clear and maybe has been misconstrued, because my message was specifically about the Thurston County Chamber's Board of Trustees.
Oh, okay.
And so didn't mean for us to remove the Thurston County Chamber as a committee assignment. I think it's important that the port has representation at the Thurston County Chamber's forum meetings and other meetings as well. So I'm just going to go ahead with a motion. I move to approve the 2024 Commission community assignments, adding Commissioner Tong to Thurston County Chamber.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the assignments as listed with the addition of Commissioner Tong as the representative for the chamber. We will go back to Commissioner Ayala, who made the motion for discussion.
Yeah, I just reiterate, I think it's important that the port is represented at the chamber, at the very least, the chamber monthly forum meetings, and we had talked about Commissioner Tong being that representative before. She's still willing.
Commissioner Tong, I wasn't sure if you wanted to be on Experience Olympia and Beyond as well, or if you, since you're going to sit on the chamber, if you wanted me to take that one. I'm comfortable continuing in that role, but I'm also, if you have an interest.
I'm interested. I like it. The timing works.
Okay. So taking turns on that one?
Yeah, take turns.
Okay. So the only thing I would say about that one is our meetings conflict with that pretty regularly when we have a holiday. So, that's the only thing that we need to be aware of. But, I really appreciate that this commission took into consideration the feedback from the organizations that we serve, that changing these every year has been really disruptive to the organizations. So having continuity will help us better serve these organizations. And that is maybe not exactly what each commissioner individually would prefer, but I really think it's better for the community. So thank you. Commissioner Sanders?
I just was happy to have the opportunity to serve South Thurston County. I did thank you, Dave Watterson, for being here. I attended, the Tenino Chamber and I look forward to serving on these committees. And I'm really excited about the Deschutes Estuary Executive Work Group as well as the Sea Level Rise. So, those are my only comments really, is that, I'm really excited about my committee assignments and being a part of the Thurston County community.
Yes, I would agree, Maggie. Very excited. Hoping we can loop Lacey into the board more and get really involved with their chamber. Of course, experience Olympia and beyond. I know we talked about that. It's pretty interesting. And then thank you to Bob for bringing up the chamber. That was my only note. All right, Commissioner Basavina? No further comment.
It's been moved and seconded to approve. Thank you. Public comment? There's a motion on the floor. There's a motion on the floor. Is there any public comment? Okay. It has been moved and seconded to approve the committee assignments listed with the addition of Commissioner Tong serving on the chamber. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Next we have election of officers, after which I will pass the gavel. So I spoke with legal counsel and it made the most sense just to complete this agenda item, and then I will pass the gavel after the agenda item to the new president. Yes, after the president, vice president, and secretary have been elected. So we have, where am I? Camille, you're on this one as well.
I sure am, and I'm gonna stay here with you, but I'm gonna ask the staff in the back if they could advance the slide for me. For the record, my name is Camille St. Ange, Director of Strategic Initiatives and Commission Affairs. It's a pleasure to be here with you this evening, again at the podium. If you could advance that slide, I'd greatly appreciate that. Very good, very good. This is an action other topic that I'm bringing forward this evening. And I'm going to wait till that slide comes back. Very good. So just to review what we're doing here this evening, the commission will be holding their election of officers, and effective immediately after the approval of the motion, positions will be filled. To be clear, the commission officer seats expired on December 31st, and at a last meeting that we attended, you made the motion to move this decision to this meeting after you had the chance to actually settle in and get to know each other as a group. So there are 3 positions that will be filled this evening: the president, the vice president, and the secretary, and you've had plenty of discussion around those roles. So if you could advance this slide, please. Thank you. I'm going to leave it to the commission for questions, comments, otherwise, and turn it over to you, Chair Harding, to manage the rest of this topic.
So I just want to set a couple of some structure so that we're all clear. It has been recommended by legal counsel that next year this item would happen at the end of the meeting so that there is not a transition in the middle of the meeting. This is historically how we've done it, and this is a little bit clumsy. So next, just so that whoever's elected chair, it isn't a surprise next year. The intention will be this will be the last item of business, so that it just allows for that transition. But thank you to staff for just continuing following what we had done previously. But we'll make that shift. I would recommend that we take 3 officers individually and spoke with legal counsel about that. So we'll start with the president, then we'll go to vice president, then we'll go to secretary. Nominations can be from any commissioner. They do not require a second. You can decline. So it will just be a nomination from any of the commissioners, and no second. I will keep a tally of nominations. We will fill each office and we will take public comment before we vote on each office. So there will be that opportunity. If I miss it, then yell at me. And then at the end of this agenda item, I will pass the gavel and the person will conduct the rest of the meeting. Did I miss anything?
That was very good.
Thanks for prepping me. So I will first entertain nominations for the office of president.
I move to appoint Commissioner Bob Iall as president to serve during calendar year 2024.
Great. That does not require a second. Do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Great. Are there any additional nominations for president? Okay. Okay. Public comment. I did it. Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment on Zoom? Great. Lee, thanks for joining us. Nice to hear from you.
Yes, thank you. I want, it's wonderful how this is going along so smoothly. I merely want to say there was a discussion a little while ago that one person could be the voice of the entire Court of Olympia Commission. And I think some of us might have heartburn with that because we've got 5 very smart people sitting here, and we've got 5 very smart people who have had history on different avenues and different understandings of a community and different understandings of manufacturing industry and environmental issues. So to say that one person is the voice of the entire commission, I'm sorry, that gives me heartburn. But anyway, thank you for this nomination. Thank you.
Any additional comment on Zoom? Janine, thank you for joining us.
Hi there. Hey, I just want to ask, I've asked during a couple of meetings, and I don't know if this message is getting across, but we're having a really hard time on the Zoom hearing Commissioner Vasavada. And I think also Commissioner Tong. So I'm just wondering, you know, I've explored this with, they're saying that the mics are in the ceiling, but for whatever reason, it's really hard to hear. And it's really sad to not be hearing what you're saying. So I'm just asking to either speak louder or maybe they need to fix the mic system. So just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Apologies for that. We did have our technology people here adjusting it and we hoped it was fixed, but we appreciate the feedback. We will continue to, we need to hear from all 5 commissioners clearly, so.
Point of privilege. Yeah. In the room, I don't think I'm speaking very quiet.
No. Do you have any recommendations, anyone, as to like if they moved or?
We'll get back with the consultants and we'll
Okay.
figure it out.
Okay.
I was told, am I still being heard here? I was told by someone here who was answering the Q&A here that Commissioner Vasavada maybe speaking sideways is part of the problem. So maybe speaking forward may be helpful.
You are a little bit difficult for me to hear in the room, Commissioner Vasavada and Commissioner Tong. Just speaking forward and just projecting a little bit might rectify that. So thank you.
Okay, any other, we will continue. We want our commissioners and our public to be heard, so. Any other public comment? Oh, yeah, hi, Ms. Wolfsburg.
And I think I made this, my name's Carla Wolfsburg. I think I made this comment before that I think it would be really helpful to have someone who's recently elected be president. And I understand that, you know, maybe the vice president could be someone who has the continuity, but I would really like to see that because I think all of us who are in the community would like to see that representation of our new members in a position of really being the people who run the meetings. So I would just prefer that you might consider nominating someone who is recently elected. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there any additional public comment? All right, it has been moved and seconded that we elect, oh, Commissioner Downing, or former Commissioner Downing.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, well, I just want to say I support the nomination of Commissioner Ayala as chair, and I also support the nomination of Commissioner Vasavada as vice chair. Should you go that direction? I hope you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Downing. Any additional public comment? It's been moved and I'm going to close public comment. It has been moved and seconded. It's been moved and seconded to elect President Commissioner Ayala as president for the 2024 year. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we now go on to our vice president. And we will use the same process. So are there any nominations for vice president?
Move to appoint Jasmine Vasavada as vice chair.
Do you accept the nomination?
I happily accept the nomination.
Any additional nominations? Okay. So
Let me offer just a
Yes,
minor point
sir.
of order. It's for vice president, not vice chair.
vice president. So I can do public comment now? Okay, we have a motion to elect, Jasmine Vasavada as vice president, which does not require a second. And I would now entertain public comment. And is there any comment on Zoom? No. And, I don't know if I took commissioner comment on the last one, but, would you like to make any comments, Commissioner? Or you made the motion, I apologize, I'm almost out of here. Commissioner Tong, you made the motion.
I would agree with Mr. Downing that it's a good balance. Both of us, or both of them as chair and vice chair.
Great. And I think I'm actually with Commissioner Ayala at the beginning of my speaking chart.
Well, I don't have anything really to say. I think that's a good choice.
Yeah, I like the idea of both working together and elevating the duties of vice chair so that it represents the community broadly. So that's exciting.
Yes, I agree. Sarah beat me to the punch. I was gonna nominate her myself, so I do believe that it was gonna be truly a balance. She brings a wealth of experience and very eager to serve as vice president. And so I just want to say that I support that.
Great. I want to thank everyone. I will very much look forward to playing this role. And that doesn't make the president and vice president are not the voice of the commission. The commission, through its actions, is the voice of the commission, but the opportunity to work with the executive director in goal setting and getting to know them means a lot to me. I want to really thank the other commissioners for taking the steps to make this approach possible. And I especially want to thank, first of all, outgoing President Harding for how she's managed the recent conversations, parliamentary kerfluffles aside. And I really want to thank Commissioner Isle for stepping in to be president and building that container that you've been building, Commissioner Harding, the container for discussion where you make space for everyone to contribute. I think that I will benefit from you building that container while I am so eager to contribute until I get past some of my impatience. So thank you very much. And I look forward to this.
It has been moved and seconded to elect Jasmine Vasavada as vice president for 2024 year. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have a VP. Secretary. I will now entertain nominations for secretary. I would nominate Commissioner Tong. Are there any other nominations? Okay. I will now go to public comment. Is there any public comment on Zoom? No. I made the motion, and so I will speak to, I think it's super exciting, both Commissioner Sanders and Commissioner Tong. I hope that you both can be in leadership positions in your tenure. You both are showing such enthusiasm for the port. It's awesome. The secretary role, it doesn't have as much duties, so I don't think it will be a heavy lift, but I think it will be great to have someone new on the team. And so, yeah, thank you for accepting my nomination. Commissioner Sanders?
No, I think it's a great opportunity for Sarah to be in this role and that she can take on the responsibility to do that.
Thank you for the nomination. I'm happy to learn the role and do the work.
Great. Sabina?
I support this and I know that I think we'll all be a great team this year.
I agree. I think Sarah's a good choice for the secretary position, and I think that I gotta say we've had very few meetings so far, but I think we've done well together, and I really look forward to all of us working together, and I couldn't agree more that we have a commission of 5 excellent individuals, all with experts in whatever field you might be in, and this is a very great commission, and I'm proud to be.
Awesome. Okay, it has been moved and seconded to elect Commissioner Tong as secretary for the 2024 year. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have a secretary, and we have no other elections, so.
So quick to give that.
Yep. The best thing, being a good leader means being able to leave your position and have it function better without you, right?
Well, I will say, Commissioner Harding, you have done a great job as our president through 2023, and I think that you set us in a good motion to be very successful in 2024. So thank you.
Thank you. And I think as far as your speaking chart, you're now on me. So.
I might need a lesson on how to read your chart.
Basically, you just go around.
We can start with you then next time. So next on the agenda, the final action other item is interim executive director performance compensation. Rudy Rudolph, interim executive director. You have a presentation? Rudy?
Actually, if you could just bring up that memo. Can you do that? So commissioners, I can't remember, it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, these items came up for discussion in executive session, consistent with what the commission had asked to do. We talked about these. I'm because I'm an employee of the Port Commission, all of my benefits need to be approved by the Port Commission. I'm not covered by any of the other port policies that port employees are covered with. And as you can see there, requesting the 4% cost of living increase consistent with what all the other staff got. Asking to have 80 hours of vacation cash out at this time from my bank, and then to have the commission concur in 4 weeks of vacation prior to my separation, which is scheduled for last day, April 20th. So it'd be on or about the 20th of March would be when I would take some vacation time. And for your information, at last look, I was at 293 hours of vacation. So there's plenty in there to cover those sections. So I turn it over to you for discussion. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rudy. The topics, it looks like there's 3 different topics. So if anyone is inclined to motion, we should do 3 separate motions. But we can start with discussion.
I would move to approve the 4% cost of living increase for the interim executive director effective January 1, 2024, consistent with other port staff. And discussion would be that I think we're lucky to have Executive Director Rudolph. He's done a great job of keeping the wheels on. We would be in a world of hurt if we didn't have the institutional knowledge of his time at the port, and a cost of living increase is just completely reasonable given the circumstances.
Thank you. I agree with everything Commissioner Harding said, and
Nothing further.
Commissioner Sanders?
Yes, I agree, you know, with, this would be the third time he served as interim, and it goes with the cost of living increase for, you know, I totally.
Right, we have a motion and a second. Before we call for the vote, is there any public comment? Hearing no public comment. Oh, okay. Ms. Reiner, you have.
Yes, thank you. I was just wondering why we're not given any numbers, the exact numbers for these, this budget in, expenditure. I know there might be reasons, that, we're not given these numbers, but I think it might behoove the general public to know the kind of money that we're talking about here. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reiner. Any other public comment? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. We have a motion to approve 4% cost of living increase for interim executive director effective January 1st, 2024, consistent with other port staff. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Can you bring the motions back up, please? I would move to authorize 80 hours of vacation leave cash out for the interim executive director effective immediately.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to authorize 80 hours of vacation leave cash out for interim executive director effective immediately. Motion, so.
Same sign. We appreciate what you've done, Rudy, and if this is something, I want to say I do encourage staff to take vacation. So moving forward, I hope that our staff will feel supported in taking time for vacation, but cashing out your vacation makes sense. All you've given to the board.
thank you. I agree. I have seen in recent years at the top leadership level, it has often been the case that these accruals have happened. My only question is there a limitation on 80 hours? Because it seems, given that this separation from service will be an honorable one, that where after having served extraordinarily for the port, I would ask whether it's limited to 80 hours.
Rudy? Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, I missed, was there a question? I missed that, I'm sorry.
I think it's because he's gonna utilize the remaining of his balance for 4 weeks
Oh, that's
vacation in the
okay.
next motion.
No, that was my question is.
In the
well,
next
I'm not sure. It'll leave him 53 hours over, so I was wondering myself what's gonna happen.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think Rudy's told us before that he does have a plan for that, for his exit strategy, so.
Right. Yeah, my separation from service is planned for April 20th, and so it would be approximately March 20th, assuming all goes well, that I would start vacation.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Before,
Point of order. I don't know if we got discussion from
oh, I'm sorry.
the other two. I just wasn't sure.
Oh, no.
You're good? Okay.
Okay,
I was sorry.
all right, so let's see if there's any public comment. Any public comment on the motion? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second to authorize 80 hours of vacation leave cash out for interim executive director effective immediately. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Opposed? Oh, all right, the motion carries. Motion carries. So we can move on.
Great. I move to authorize 4 weeks of vacation for the interim executive director prior to separation from port service.
Second.
Right, we have a motion and a second to authorize 4 weeks of vacation for the interim executive director prior to separation from port service. Commissioner Tong, you have any discussion?
In line with additional, I think we owe it to Rudy to pay back his service, and it's time that he's earned.
Thank you. Commissioner Sanders, any comment?
No, no comment. I agree.
Can you clarify that this is that you are being paid out vacation that's already been accrued?
Correct.
Okay, the
Yeah,
motion
I'm up
is,
to 293 was the last look, so I've had in the bank.
thank you.
Commissioner Basavina?
Thank you. I just want to note that we've been told March 20th, and so I'm hopeful that you are helping bring us good new executive director vibes
I am indeed.
as you enjoy the sunshine.
All right, then we have a motion and a second. We can now take public comment on this motion. Is there any public comment? Hearing none. We have a motion and a second to authorize 4 weeks of vacation for interim executive director prior to separation from port service. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Commissioners.
Thank you for your service, Rudy.
Thanks, sir.
All right, so we will move now to the advisory calendar. We have a contract amendment for Chris Reeve, Sean Gilbertson, Director of Environmental Planning and Programs. You have the floor, sir.
All righty. Thank you, commissioners. Good evening. I'm Sean Gilbertson, Port Director of Environmental Planning and Programs. Tonight, I'm pleased to present to you information on ongoing Bud Inlet insurance recovery efforts. Specifically, I'll describe an existing contract for insurance recovery efforts and the need for a contract amendment to continue these efforts.
Turned on. Thank
Okay, today's presentation is advisory only. I'll discuss a contract and proposed amendment to the existing contract, and we'll give a brief update on insurance recovery efforts. Okay, the purpose of the contract is really for insurance recovery work being conducted under contract. I'm sorry, this contract is for insurance recovery work for the Bud Inlet project that has been deemed critical to ensure the port is identifying all potential funding sources for the Bud Inlet cleanup and restoration project. As you all know, this is a very expensive project, both the design and planning and the eventual construction. This work amounts to what we could consider a forensic investigation of insurance coverage and policies in place at the port prior to 2008. The scope of work includes an analysis of previous settlements to determine which coverages may be exhausted. Excuse me. It also includes the identification of insurance policies that were in place over the years but may not have been evaluated fully. This analysis also covers insurance policies that may have been issued through a third party, such as insurance collectives. Insurance recovery contract is valid through December 31st, 2024. However, the original contract amount was significantly less than what is needed to complete the work, as was Amendment 1. And why is that? Well, forensic investigations are expensive by their nature. There's a lot of sleuthing of old files with a technical eye to determine whether the policies are applicable to the port and whether they offer coverage for the Bud Inlet remediation work. My assessment since coming on board is that the original estimate that you see on your screen was based on digital retrieval of all of the insurance documents and policies. But what happened is digital recovery of these documents was very complicated, and it ended up being a paper file search, which contributed heavily to the workload and significantly slowed the process to identify insurance policies that may be relevant. On a positive note, but still contributing to the budget shortfall, is that the research uncovered more potential policies than we anticipated. This has increased the research and processing time for this project to identify the policies and reach out to these insurers. We'd like the consultant to follow through with the process already underway. With what we know, we anticipate that the requested budget increase will allow the work to proceed to a logical endpoint. What we don't know is what will be contained in the responses from the insurance companies that we've reached out to, and I'll talk about the outreach that we've done already. We should, at the end of this phase of the project, have a really good idea of the coverages that are available that may provide relief and whether the insurance providers are going to assist in our efforts or not. We will then come back to the commission with an update. This slide was borrowed from one of our Bud Inlet project presentations, slightly edited, but it really goes to the point that we're searching for all potential funding sources for the Bud Inlet restoration project. And that includes everything from grants and appropriations, which we're really seeking aggressively, potential liable parties, and highlighted up there's liability insurance. This is the insurance recovery option is considered top priority, and this is because what may happen is this investigation and reaching out to insurance companies may trigger a duty for them to defend, which means that some of our investigative work could be covered under this duty to defend. It's a very important element in cost recovery. It also may help through this process identify additional liable parties. Go into a little of the detail here of this investigation. The focus of the initial insurance coverage investigation is really from 1997 to 1998, or 1997 to 2008, excuse me. As a result of the initial round of investigation, the port has sent out lost policy notifications to 17 different insurers and or brokers. These were sent in December of 2023, and we're receiving responses currently from these insurers. Many of them have been positive responses. We're anticipating more responses, some of which have included requests for additional information from the port. So there's a back and forth going on with these insurers with our consultant. Finishing the review of responses and analyzing the policies identified is what this additional funding request intends to cover. So what we hope is that we receive all the responses back from the insurers or the brokers, and that our consultant can analyze all of the responses and the associated policies. And then we can decide next steps on how to contact the insurers, what level of assistance they're going to provide, whether they may defend the port in further investigation of the Bud Inlet sediment contamination. It's important to point out that policies after 2008 are not germane, because these policies were in place after identification of pollutants in Bud Inlet and the signing of the agreed order. So basically, after 2008, contaminated sediment was similar to a pre-existing condition. So policies after 2008 really are not on the table here. We are planning, however, on further analysis of policies in place from 1990 to 1996. However, with these policies, we really are going to turn the investigative work to internally. So we're going to hopefully find digital files for the policies that were in place during this period, and then we'll work with Port Council as needed for next steps to potentially send out more loss policy notifications and continue to determine if there's any applicable insurance policies out there that can provide relief. Policies in place prior to 1990 are generally considered exhausted because those all predated the settlement for the Cascade Pole site. So there's really not much relief to be found in those older insurance policies. So that's why we're really focusing on 1990 through 2008, currently 1997 through 2008. This is a pretty tedious process. It requires an eye towards insurance and coverages and how to identify them and analyze them to see if we have more recourse. So that is really all I have for you. It was more of an introduction to this topic and to let you know of the work that is ongoing. What is being asked for or what will be presented in a future meeting is to approve a second amendment to an existing agreement to bump the not to exceed amount by $50,000 to finish this work. So at that, I'd be happy to entertain any questions or comments that you may have.
Great, Commissioner Mathata.
Thank you. And this question, it's okay if you can't answer it right now and you can bring the answer back.
Right.
I just wanted to ask you if this original contract was issued by competitive procurement. And if so, kind of, it gives me concern if basically it's on, of course, an hours and it's basically paid on an hourly basis. And we're hearing that it was more tedious because there were files weren't digitized. It's not surprising to me, given the time period, that many of the files weren't digitized. So I'm a little concerned that we negotiated a contract where we bore kind of unlimited risk of continuing to pay for a scope of services. And I'd like to understand if that's just the general industry standard or if at the time of application, there were people bidding. This was the lowest bidder, but there were other bidders who were more anticipating these issues. The only reason that's relevant to me because now we've gone from $100,000 contract to something that's going to go up to $225,000. And I know we have some cost and an investment in a professional who's probably doing the best possible job, but it's something I just want to understand.
Certainly. Thank you, Commissioner. I do not have the answer for that right now. I'm wondering if Rudy.
We'll have to get back.
Okay, we'll get back to you on that. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Commissioner Tom?
Yeah, I had another question you may not have the answer to, but I was wondering if you have any figures on the process so far, if there's been any value given back from the consultant yet, or if we know of any policies that they may be paying to refund some of this.
We have, thank you, Commissioner, for the question. We have received responses from multiple insurance carriers, and they're really, I would say they're in the discovery phase, trying to figure out why is the port asking us for this, but agreeing to cooperate fully and investigate within their own organizations if any policies existed. So we have received positive feedback, but it's still pretty early to gauge what we'll realize from that response at this point.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Sanders, any questions or comments?
No, not at this time.
I think along the same lines as Commissioner Basavada, as we're looking at our delegation of authority moving forward, there has been a number of contracts that have been executed under the executive director's authority that then the amendments exceed the original contract. And that's just something I would like to further discuss how to allow the executive director autonomy in making decisions, but not set something up so that the commission is not involved or there's not a competitive bidding process on things that maybe this particular case was unforeseen. In this, it doesn't pertain to the specific issue, but it is something that's come before the commission a number of times of amendments exceeding the original executive director's authority, and I'd like to discuss that further.
Yeah, if I can just add a short comment. We started this discussion a fairly long time ago, and I think we identified that when there were the contracts that were written under the existing executive director delegation of authority for under $50,000, then the staff was coming back to the commission when that needed an amendment. And what was generating the question was, hey, how come we've never seen this before and you're asking us for an amendment for whatever? And we've really tried to change that dynamic, but your point is well taken and we're going to continue to watch that.
All right. Well, thank you, Sean. So now we can take public comment. Oh, did you have something else?
No, public
Oh,
comment,
yeah.
you remember.
Yeah, I underlined it. Yeah, we can take public comment now on the presentation. Is there anyone who would like to give public comment? Not seeing any public comment, we will move to commissioner reports and discussion and start with Commissioner Collins.
The only thing I had for commissioner reports was just discussing orientation, which was very informative. I enjoyed meeting all the senior directors, kind of norming with the commission a little bit. It was great.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Sanders.
Yes, I had the privilege to attend the Tenino Chamber and listen to our mayor, Dave Watterson present, and also Thurston County Commissioner Wayne Bernier. And also attended the study meeting at Nisqually at the Elders Building with our newly elected president, Commissioner IL, and had a warm welcome there. And so that was really awesome to be able to attend an event, you know, at his tribe and be welcomed by Willie Frank, the chairman. And so that was really amazing. And I just been receiving a lot of emails and invitations to meet with constituents in the community. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And so that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Commissioner Harding.
We have one of our small cities recipients here, and I just wanted to report that it was communicated to me that some of the small cities had not yet received their small cities grants. So I wanted to make sure that the public knew that that was happening, and that those were being paid. So, wanted to close the loop on that. And then my quote of the day is, when setting out on a journey, do not seek advice from those who have never left home.
That's a good one. Commissioner Vasavas.
Thank you. I just want to thank staff for helping connect me on a request we received from a partner, Waylon Robertson, on behalf, I'm looking up the name of his group if I can right now, but Mariners Jobs or Family Wage Jobs, and right now there aren't enough opportunities for people to enter training, especially if they can't afford, come from low income families or diverse backgrounds. And so he's requesting funds from the legislature and from our local legislator to help support maritime assistance. And I think our port will be throwing support behind that. And I really think the workforce element is something I'm proud to be able to support that ask. And I commend all of you, and come talk to me if you have any further questions about it, or talk to Camille since she's completely plugged into that. And I guess I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you. Well, I wanted to congratulate staff and our new commissioners on a successful 2-day orientation. I thought, the content was great. It was relevant. Participation by staff and commission. It was just a great way for us to get to know each other a little bit better, and I really appreciate the way that went off. Also, just want to make a comment that the winter staff appreciation event was also a very nice afternoon. Always nice to get to know some of our staff members better and see some awards and recognitions that they receive. I think that's so important, and was just really happy to be there. And then finally, I was going to mention that I was the host at the January steady meeting, and we held it at the Nisqually Indian Tribe's new Elders Center. And I was, it was the largest attending steady meeting that I've been to. So it was a great turnout. It was a great meeting. And it was an honor and a privilege for me to introduce Commissioner Sanders as the port's new representative to steady. I know she'll do a great All right, so moving on to other business. Let's see, I've already lost track of my chart. I think we're on Commissioner Sanders. Do you have any other business this evening?
No, President, I do not.
Commissioner Harding?
Maybe just for future agenda discussion would be the use of subcommittees. Commissioner Sanders and I are not serving in an officer position, but maybe there's other ways that we could represent the commission. Working, or other people on the commission as well, but that's what specifically came to mind. That would be a good way to use it. So further discussion on that.
Commissioner Vasada?
Thank you. I think that's a wonderful idea. And also, I want to continue a conversation that I started about the delegation of authority memo. There are basically three resolutions that together comprise our delegation of authority as a board to the staff of the board, or to the executive director, our only staff that we direct. And I would like to commend those three and ask maybe those could be circulated by staff without any additional work, those three public documents for everyone to be able to see.
Okay, anything else?
My point of information, am I seeing heads nodding, providing direction to staff to move forward with this?
So these are, so the way I understand this now, there are two topics that we would like to add to a future agenda. So Vice President Vasavada and I will meet with Executive Director Rudy Rudolph, and we will determine how we can work those into our agenda. Is that correct? Does that sound right?
Great.
Is that good with you, Rudy?
It is, thank you, sir.
All right, very good. So next on the agenda is meeting announcements. We have one more?
Oh, I heard conversation about the agenda setting meeting, which has now been discontinued. But we should maybe figure out how the three commissioners who won't be in the meeting with the executive director would like to be consulted and how we can do that.
May I? I think what we had thought about, so this is for consideration, was that the other business section would be utilized to gain consensus. So for instance, on these two agenda items, subcommittees and the delegation of authority, we would ask the full commission in the other business, do the commissioners support moving forward with an agenda item regarding subcommittees? And if it's just me that wants it, it doesn't move forward to your discussion and your implementation. If 3 out of the 5 support it, does that work? Commissioner or Chair IL? That's
yeah, but I think it's also to kind of support that. Because we have 5 commissioners now, we can each talk to one another outside of a meeting. If someone has an idea for an agenda topic and wants to bounce it off another commissioner, I think that's reasonable also. And then it shows up at the other business, and next thing you know, it's on an agenda.
So in this case, do you want to get consensus on those 2 items from the group as to whether those should move forward for your discussions for agenda setting?
As far as I'm concerned, they were topics that have already been brought up and will be moving forward to set an agenda.
Okay.
That's the way I. Okay, anything else? Meeting announcements.
All righty, January 29th at 3:30 p.m. a commission work session here at Percival Plaza. Monday the 5th in the evening is the reception for executive director final applicants over at the Hilton Garden Inn. And there's that address if anybody needs to know where that is. February the 12th at 5:30, regular commission meeting here. And Tuesday, February 20th, 3:30 in the afternoon, commission work session.
All right, any questions or comments for Executive Director Rudolph? Here
I
we
just
go.
have one question. We're in the middle of a recruitment and you've announced that the 5th will be when we do the final interviews. Will you be setting a special meeting for us to get the recommendations?
Yes, now that we've had the meeting that we had tonight and confirming moving direction, we will set that extra executive session for the afternoon of the 6th, followed by a commission meeting.
For the afternoon of the 6th?
Right.
No, will there be one before that where we'll be hearing the recommendations from Cliff Moore for who he's pushing forward?
Yeah,
as
I will loop back in with Ben with his notes and we'll get that scheduled.
Probably next week, right?
And just so commissioners know, I will have an excused absence on February 12th, so.
Okay, any other questions or comments on the meeting announcements? Hearing no other business, this meeting is adjourned.